obsession beats over talent anytime, and the hard work beats over talent anytime.
Our featured guest today is a skilled robotics engineer, content creator, and mentor, and the founder and CEO of Creatine in my unit Chums. Parthiban, it's a great pleasure to have you as our featured guest today. Thank you so much for being willing to join us and share your journey with us.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Nancy and Mr. Spencer. Yeah, it's been great year, I would say, but I'm looking forward to the 2024 and joining with you a week right before 2024 is, I would say, it's great. And starting off the kicking off the year with right like-minded people and
Couldn't agree with you more. I was actually wondering, since we are just getting to know each other, could you actually start us off by telling us a little bit about your experience growing up earlier in life and maybe some of the early life events or mentors that you feel greatly influenced you?
sure, I would love to. And yeah, so first of all, my entrepreneurial journey started from my school days, I would say. And you could ever see any of the kids like most introverted and emo kids, and I was the one of them, and I would be the leader of them, I would say, because I was so introverted in my school days, and I really wanted to change myself because it is not a good thing to be so introverted. It's not great to have people like with you, and yeah, it was I was hating myself for the whole thing, so I want to break out of the circle, and then I started a business called drop shipping in my like 11th grade, I would say. Yeah, it was higher secondary school, and yeah, so I bought some goods from the whole neighborhood and sold it at a higher prices for another neighborhood, and that's where I found like, okay, I'm good at this stuff, and if I can speak somewhat great, and if I improve my communication skills, then it would be great. I can do much more businesses. So then it got a trigger in me, and then I started my own agency kind of thing. I worked as a freelancer for 1 or 2 years during my first and sophomore years in my college. Then I started my own agency. Then I rose up to another company called Chums, so where we are focusing on helping students all over the globe. And yes, so this is my entrepreneur journey. And I would say it has been so great for us of now because I'm just a 20-year-old guy doing some crazy stuff, I would say, because most of them in India, it's its startup is booming right now because most of the youngpreneurs, I would say, studentpreneurs and young entrepreneurs are blooming right now because of the various schemes from the government and various schemes from everyone, and most people are interesting and also interested to invest in these startups. And I would say there is a clear idea and clear problems that needs to be solved. And by doing my part earlier than whatever the average age would be, so I think I'm contributing to society and also to myself. That's my short intro.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. I didn't realize India was taking such an interest in pushing startups. Do you think that's having a really, really positive impact? Is that
Yeah, sure.
like the more and more growth of startups?
Yeah, it's having a more, I would say the startup environment in the whole India is like blooming right now, and more industries and more people are coming out to startup. At least there is a whole positive thing in the whole social media, right? So people have to be productive and people have to do many works and everything. There is a whole thing kind of thing. And yes, so in India, so the government is providing various schemes and various innovation challenges for people to bring their entrepreneur journey. And I would say, yes, this is really, really great opportunities for more people because many of the people from India at young age, I would say, because entrepreneurs are mostly coming from age of 20 to 25 or 30. But I have seen many kids around 15 to 16 try at least trying the things, at least trying a business or at least trying to be a work, I say freelancer. So it's great to see much more younger people into the field, and when you are like looking onto them, and you'll be like comparing yourself. Okay, so these guys are doing it as like 16 or 15, and what I'm doing. So this is the great comparison there is going on. But it's a healthy field, I would say. And yes, so the India is blooming right now in the startups, and it's having a many of incubators and many people to help these startups, I would say.
That's really fantastic to hear. I mean, there's so many great ideas that come out of that country. I'm really glad that the government is actually taking an interest in that. Kind of going back to your journey just a little bit, I was wondering how you became interested in robotics and what led you to choose to pursue a degree in that.
Sure. So the only thing I was interested in robotics because of the blooming industry, and it is also one of the fast-moving industries, I would say. But it is not well yet generated in India, but it's growing in world, I would say. And I just wanted to study robotics because it was something out of the box. Because most of my friends were going on for a job particular oriented careers, like most of the courses were electronic communication engineering and these kind of courses, I would say. And yes, so from my batch alone, around 20 to 25 people were chose the same course. And I clearly known that, okay, it's gonna be like I'm not much interested in coding, but I know how to code. Okay, I can learn these things from YouTube or any other kind of sources, but robotics is where I just want to pursue a career in the whole thing. And yeah, it has been good. And robotics interested me because I wanted to do some space explorations, and robotics is also a major source of the space exploration kind of things. So it was great actually to have a degree in robotics.
Absolutely agree. I feel that same level of passion about robotics, and I have for many, many years. I think there's so many frontiers that humanity is approaching that robotics is able to assist with and make progress on. Now, one thing I wanted you to talk about a little bit was your inspiration behind launching Creatine and what the company actually does.
Yeah, sure. So Creatine is my started out as a creative agency. So where I learned editing, video editing for my YouTube channel, which has around 16K, like 16,000 subscribers as of now. And I started at my higher secondary school, I would say, like in my 12th grade. During the first year of college, I started it. And yes, so for YouTube, I learned video editing, and I've always been so much interested in animations, like doing animations and watching animation kind of movies. So I wanted to learn animation, and I just started my career as an animated in somewhat a small company. It's a startup, and I just did the rigging part where you connect the whole animation structure, like from a hand to body and from a toe to limb and everything we will connect, and from a eye to eyelash. So these kind of rigging I did. Then I moved on with the whole creative agency where the MMAs like Iman Gadzi and everyone will start to bloom right at the right time when you are starting a social media marketing agency kind of thing. So I just found a problem in India because we had more digitalization, but the issue is most people were not offering these sources. But if they are offering, it is like only for a cross-sectional people and not for the whole people. And I found a right target audience, I would say. It is local businesses because I saw local businesses having a hard time due to the Amazon stores and everything. Mainly the clothing business and gift shops and everything was really affected by the whole digitization, I would say. So I found this a problem, and I approached many of the whole companies to have a Instagram page and have a social media page to promote their products and doing websites and doing apps solely for them. And yes, this problem got into the whole thing. And yes, so by that problem, I just got my first clients and my through my seniors of the college, I networked with many people. So I started as a freelancer, then I had the market knowledge, then I chose to do it alone because of the whole freelancing thing is big switching into a free kind of thing when you are a student. So major companies expect you to work around for free when you are freelancing, and it switched out to be a creative agency because of the whole money issue. Then I started the creative agency, and now as of now it's like founded 1 year back. We are a small business accelerator, I would say, or a startup accelerator. We can provide A to Z use case for the whole startups if they want to improve in their operations, marketing, and if they want to improve in their whole field. So this is the source for inspiration and also the development and also the scaling up of the Miami Chums. Sorry, creating.
Wow. Yeah, you've had a really, really busy year. That's so impressive. So I think it's great that you've kind of turned it into like a creative agency and started handling marketing and operations. What do you envision kind of for the future of the company? I think it's, fantastic that you've had such explosive growth, but is there like a main focus that you think you'll, stay true to for the next 5, 10 years? Are you hoping to sell this idea off at some point? What are you envisioning?
Sure. The whole thing I'm envisioning right now is like our visions are like first we started off with the local businesses, but still we have got many clients to the local businesses. But now we want to move over with individuals, I would say, like social media influencers and these creators, I would say, because many of them in India are now into content creation, as they have seen it the whole economy blooming over content creation, and they have seeing the content creation as a easy job, like okay, these guys are just shooting videos and getting monies from whole affiliate marketing and everything. So many people are into this, and we are seeing a very good growth in the whole thing. So we just want to make sure that okay, we will be having more clients with the whole thing in the individual sector. As we have said, like we are more into the businesses, but moving on with the individual sector, we can have a good fame with people, and we can also boost our startup into another kind of thing, I'd say.
I think the influencer and content creator market is such a new one that so many people don't yet know um, exactly how to service them from the back end. And so I think it's a really, really powerful niche to start getting into because it's such a growing industry and having such a big influence. And so I'm really looking forward to hearing about how that goes long term for you guys, like the working on not just companies, but individuals and their brands. Now, I understand you very ambitiously started a second company this year, my uni chums. Can you take us through that a little bit and why you decided to take on the even larger burden of another startup?
Yeah, sure, I will love to. And the first thing about the whole my journey was like, okay, I had a creative agency and I got profits from it. The whole thing of the process is from where in my first month it was a huge loss because I did the same mistake as everyone. I overhired people. So I thought, okay, we will get more projects and we need to have a whole workforce. So the project and the pipeline task would be somewhat smooth and it would be integrated very perfectly. And the whole process went not well, and I had a lot of around like rupees 300 use sorry rupees 20 to 25,000 loss at my first month, and it will be converted around 300 USD. As a student, it was so not so much great, I would say, and the time my social pressure and my mental pressure was not so great. It was like I've started a company and I was at the losses, right? Then I reached out with more people and got so many clients, and I did not overhire, or I did hire some people who are experts in multiple fields. Rather than focusing on the same field, I hired me people from more fields, I would say, multitasking people. And the start of the Mindshims came from the creating, I would say, the seed money, whatever I earned, I did not spend lavishly, I said. I just bought some things for myself for better content creation and better process, like an iPhone and a MacBook and everything. I bought it from my own money as a student. Then I had some money saved up, and also as a YouTuber, I got some money from the YouTube, right? And I did some real estate license due to my real estate license. I had some connections and I did some real estate thing. And I had some money saved up. And I know creating is not it's a creative agency and a small business accelerator. It can be B2B, like it can be only servicing to the business to business. But I just wanted to have it in the whole sense of reaching out to more people and reaching out to more consumers, I would say. So I started my Chums as a whole thing. And the one problem we are solving right now is elevating students' life. So we are solving every problem in the lives of students. And I've seen it's the problems of in the life of students is quite a lot. It will be from starting from the getting good application to abroad or getting into a good university. So in India and in many of the Asian countries, so it is a typical Asian thing, right? I know the Westerners have a typical mindset of Asian people having these kind of universities and very good at maths, right? So the whole thing started out as a whole thing, and yeah, so when we are moving to the university thing, it's seen as a prestigious thing in the whole in India. So many of the people see like, okay, so you are graduating from this university, so it's much better than X and Y, right? So they are seeing it as a prestigious thing, and most people in now in India are looking forward to study or pursue their careers from abroad. So majorly, they want this abroad university to reach out to them, but still there is a lack of transparency in the whole thing. There are many kind of fake universities and many kind of fake agencies getting admissions in this fake process, and there is no transparency in that system. And one of my seniors, who I have been the most respected, and also it is one of the brightest mind, I would say, he really got into the problem of having this whole thing, and it was not great. He was having suicidal thoughts and everything. So I saw this is a serious issue, and no one is addressing them. So many of the big startups or many of the big people or many entrepreneurs, serial entrepreneurs, I would say, they are not addressing these startups. So they are not addressing these issues because they are not knowing about the issues. Because as a student, I saw this whole thing. So figured out, okay, so why we can't take up the action, right? So I started migration as a whole process, and now we are providing migrations in a transparency system. So what the service we are providing is would be like we are connecting students with top class universities from Harvard, from Yale, and everything, and we are connecting with them with the aspiring Indian students with video calls and Zoom meetings and everything. So the benefit the students would get or our customers would get is the perfect information and the golden information from the students, exact cost of living and what they would be studying. And we have recent surveys, we have found many people are not knowing the whole thing, like not knowing the whole process. Okay, so I'm gonna study abroad, I'm gonna enjoy it, and many of the students' mindset is there is a way. If I'm going to abroad, I can escape my parents and escape the script environment in the whole India. So they said like, okay, but they are not knowing what career to pursue. And there is a thing in India where the Indian universities will provide you placements. So the placements or job offers where they will come to the companies will come to the campus and hire you. But I know it's not a thing in the US and major European countries because you need to find the company, right? So many of the Indian students doesn't know these somewhat basic things before going to the abroad. But like most of them are getting into the debt and everything. So we want to solve the whole issue by providing a exact detail to them. So we started out as a just a communication platform, and then our other service would be the Finder intern program. So many of the research internships were be providing for the whole persons. Like many of the universities want to pay for the research, and one thing I would not boast about Indian people is they are very good with research and whole thing because we have seen India pouring many money and most of the money to the research field because they need new innovations. Okay, competing with many of the other countries and competing with many of the inter colleges, they are ready to invest in whole research thing, research community. And we saw this as a just a whole pitching up and a whole opportunity to move on with the Finder Intern program, where people from abroad can list out to their research internship. Mainly professors from various universities can list out the whole thing, and students from here can apply to it, and the whole process can be happening within our app. So we are, as of now, we have no competitor. We are the first starters in the whole industry, I would say. Then another service Myrisms is offering is eSIL. So eSIL is like kind of thing where it's a reused site for electronic components that students can afford. Even if you are affording it, it is most likely the problem in India is yes, it's given to the juniors. If seniors are doing their whole project in the final year, the whole components are given to the juniors. But main issue is that most of the people are not getting the components and they are not emphasizing on a project-based learning. So the Western India had a huge communication or huge education issues because education in India is more theory oriented. But now it's changing. Now it's entirely changing because in our universities, they have changed the whole scheme into project-based learning. They can just write a semester exam, but mostly they have to do a compulsory project for a subject. It's changing right now. It's a revolution, and this needs to be implemented and much more supportive to the government. And so I thought there is no one who is reselling electronic components in India because most of the students can't afford it because it's like 25,000 rupees for a leader and everything is happening. So it's not very much, I would say, it would not very much. And there are a few sites, authentic and original, to buy these components from. So it's mostly done with universities. And personally, I saw, I'm not sure I can supposed to say it, but still, I saw many of the project components like Raspberry Pis and everything. As an engineer, I would say it's just sitting on the table and it's just accumulating some waste. So there is a lot of waste in India because of the electronic components not used properly in India, and it contributes around 9 to 12% of e-waste generated in India. So it is from the right from universities and everything. So we wanted to create a service where students can list out the whole components in a platform, and students from across India can buy it. So wherever they are, they can buy it. So we wanted to create this whole thing to helping students. And yes, so we have dealt around 10 to 15 transactions sold in this beta launch of our website. And within the milestones, and I would say the milestones be around the first month of our beta website launch, we got around 500 users. And also we had around 27 users going for our premium services. Then we have around 10 mentors in our whole thing, like Chums, who are the experienced top class university students, like one from University of Birmingham and another from TU Delft, Netherlands. And we are getting into more applicants. And many people and many parents, I would say, and many parents in India is ready to invest their money in this startup or invest their time, and like this startup will provide them with the exact details that need to be known. It will make a clear understanding for the students, which is not available before. So it would make the parents just to spend around 600 USD within 10 USD. They can learn about the whole things about the universities which their pupils are like applying to them. So this creates a whole thing where the community is engaged and the three problems are solved in a startup, and we are more focusing on another things, like we are also contributing to the socio-economic backward children by having a timer support. If a student studies for 100 hours, so we will be giving and we will be having live classes with people or children from slums who can't afford education. As an entrepreneur, I always thought like an entrepreneur is someone who uplifts the society, not only uplift them. So we need to have a social responsibility and we have a corporate social responsibility, they would say CSR. So I thought, okay, so by MindUchums, we are providing education and we are connecting with globally with students. So why can't we provide free education to much more of the backward people or backward children? And yes, so we are into moving on to the process because our app is launching soon. I would say it's I'm very much happy that it's happening on Founders Voyage. So we are launching our app on January 15th of 2024, and I would say it will be a somewhat hit. Yeah, thank you about the whole thing.
Well, yeah, congratulations on that. That's very exciting. So this is like a really ambitious project. This is awesome. But I think I'm trying to think of what problem you're not trying to solve around education. I have an idea in my head that probably, you'll wind up focusing it more, but I can tell what a passion project this is for you. And I really commend you for tackling this problem, after the success of Creatine. I think what I see is like your market is really clear for Creatine. And with this, so I, in reading just like what I could find about my Unichums, I was thinking, there's academic counseling happening. There's sort of like a classifieds want ad section. And I was thinking it was just like internal university to university, but you're actually talking about like a global network that you've created at this point, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I think it's wonderful. I love the idea of being able to educate people about what education is going to be like if they go abroad versus like, stay in the country. I think that's great. How do you figure out how to organize it, and like not just in the sense of, here's the uh, the section you can go to for mentorship, here's the section you can go to for information on this university, but how do you organize the people, and how do you decide at what point, like, do they not have access? I think that's what I struggle with something like this. And I've run youth programs, so like, is there a certain age? Is it when they graduate university, or do you just try to hire them?
Yeah, sure. So mostly there is an issue in abroad also. Most of the major country, most of the Indians going for abroad. Yes, there is a part-time issue because of overpopulation and over migration, I would say. Uh, Most of the Indians studying in abroad countries couldn't offer the whole part-time jobs, and it got more debt accumulated because their student loans, someone need to pay, right? In India, parents would pay the student loan and everything, and sometimes the students working they can't pay, but they need to have something to cover the living expenses over there. And I thought like, okay, so there is a serious issue going on with aspiring students and also the mentors in all over the region. Even if they are studying in top class universities, they have the whole process of getting some money and earning some money, right, to at least cover their living expenses. So I thought, okay, so rather doing from harsh works or rather doing from going to a cafe or something unrelated to the field, they can have this whole experience of connecting with more people in India and connecting with their roots, and also having helping a student in their whole journey is like they won't forget you, I would say. This is like a life changer for many students. Whatever information you are providing, it can be life changer. So I wanted to pursue my abroad education from University of Birmingham. So I applied to them, and I used LinkedIn. I would be openly frank because our competitor is LinkedIn, but LinkedIn, yeah, connected many people. But still, when you are cold mailing or when you are DMing people in LinkedIn, they are not they're not going to reply to you. You will. I personally mailed around or DM'd around 600 people in LinkedIn, and I got only response around 16 to 20. And that's where I found the exact problem. Okay, so what if I change the model to have this opportunity to get some business done or get some money done? So people will be not flocking over, but at least some people will be interested in the whole replying thing, right? So I thought about it and building a separate platform. And yeah, so a student can approach us. We have a separate team for the whole community platforms and management of the community. So they can approach us and they can tell whatever their issues are going on, or even they can go out with the listers. We have a list of our mentors from which universities are there and which scholarships they got. So and also their proficiency in various other languages and everything. So they can reach out directly to the mentor also and have a video call session with them. So yeah, and also the Finder Research Intern program where we are connecting with mostly with major Asian universities like Japanese, and also we are in contact with major American universities to list out their research internships in our platform because there is LinkedIn is used as a primary source, but there is no other competitor or no other platform especially dedicated to this. LinkedIn is a platform which can be having many works going on over, I would say. It's connecting major people, but still there is no exactly a platform for the whole process. So I wanted to start this as a platform so where more people will be engaged and more people can find it useful. I would say like we are not also charging them with some more money. I would say this is like a one USD or mainly our most of our costliest service would be coming around 15 USD. Just that same amount. It can be affordable to the students over here, and they can also earn. We have a system called Unicoins. So this is an in-app currency we are building. So it is like 1 rupees of India. It's one UC is 1 rupees of India. This can be earned via referrals too. If a student referred our app and if another student installs it, the student who referred will get around 10 uses to 20 uses. So the price can be reduced. So we want to make this startup reach out to a whole community and reach out to whole people. And because in India, so the person who want to move abroad is around 40% of students want to move abroad. So we have a huge total addressable market, I would say. And yes, moving on with my chums is great. And as I said, like our app, so we are engaging a student community, which is not engaged, and it's like a cluttered environment and it's not an organized environment. So by these kind of startups, I would say we are mainly organizing them. Yeah. So that's the whole short story of Mind Chums.
Wow, that's amazing. And as Nancy said, it's such a broad business that you're working on, but you're so passionate about it. I think it's going to be very exciting seeing where it goes for sure. Thank you so much for sharing all that. Now, something we haven't asked too many guests about is how they selected a name for their business. Once we realized the pronunciation of both of your businesses, I quite like how the name echoes the mission of the organization. Can you tell us what the process was for you for naming and coming up with the branding, the broader branding of your business, and what recommendations you'd have for others in that area?
Yeah, sure. So it's quite difficult for me, but I'm a person who just names it off right off the bat, I would say. Okay. So the first thing about creating is I just wanted to have a whole SEO thing because if someone is to search up our name, we should be the only persons to show up on the net. So I wanted a name like that for creatine, but since same rhyming as creatine as a protein powder, so I failed in the part. But still, if you are searching creatine marketing or anything, we will be coming up the first. Still, yes, creatine is like just a name I thought as a student. Then I kept it. I was not deep into researching, so I did not know much about SEO. This name sounds good and it rhymes, so I just thought about creatine, having creatine. So was I moving with my agents? So I had the idea. Okay, so at least if I'm not showing on Google or something, but we should be the only company having this name. So I thought about getting a My Uni Hub or something. So many universities had the same over thing. So I thought about Chum. Chum is like a close friend of the thing, right? Close best friend in university terms. And okay, so it's gonna relate with universities because we are connecting students, and these students gonna be best friends for everything. Because as a mentor and mentee relationship can be fine, but still they're gonna be connecting with other platforms and they're gonna be friends for life, I would say. So we want to create a this name, and it successfully got approved, and the SEO is fine because if you are searching MyUnigems or Light Up on Google or any kind of web services, we'll be coming the first. So and we'll be coming the only person who has the name. So that's great, I would say, because I've seen many companies failing to have this name issues and also the logos and everything. But as a person who worked on the freelancing and I did many of the logos for companies and had them discussions for the naming process and the SEOs. So I learned myself to okay, so have this whole process somewhat making it unique, I would say.
I really appreciate you kind of sharing how you came to both of those names. But the when you say creatine, that totally made sense to me. But my brain immediately said creatine because I'm in the fitness industry. But you may inadvertently wind up with, this whole host of people that didn't realize that they want creative services and they want nutrition supplements. So who knows? Maybe you'll wind up selling some creatine as well. But on a larger level, I was wondering, what kind of inspired you to solve these problems through entrepreneurship? Like, what inspired your journey into entrepreneurship? And are there certain innate characteristics you think a person needs to possess to be an entrepreneur? Because some people would just be like, I'm just going to go work for a company that does something similar. But you're like, I'm going to start a company that does this.
Yeah, so the major thing about the startups and the entrepreneur ecosystem is not like it's not a personal thing, I would say. It's like coming off with some ideas and working on with it. And whatever company I just launch or something, I have my own personal clothing brand too. So it's like a partner with someone. Yeah, so these kind of ideas I get, and I want to do a market survey or market research. And I personally think like working for a company is great. Okay, if you are not if your family background is not so good, or if you are struggling with many things, and okay, so if you're not having a great family background to support you, or to it's like if you are so much not into well into the things, and if you don't have any kind of idea or motivation, it's really really okay for you. Because and I also would say, like, many of my classmates or many of the my colleagues would say, like, okay, you have already two companies and you have run three companies within your age, like up to 20, right? So you must be having so much money and so many riches, right? But I would say it's not about the money in the end. It's about the self valuation and self gratification you get from the whole thing. Because if you are into entrepreneurship, a person can start at 70, even 70, and can succeed, or even he can start at 18. And I've seen many of my juniors who have founded some good companies and founded some built some engaging platforms for Gen Z. It's not about the age, I would say. It's about clear mindset people are having. I think whatever the story, it can be a student or it can be a person who is as of right now going to the job. It can be anyone who right now wants to start a business. Is to have a clear mindset what you are going to do, and how your product or service is gonna affect people's life, and also it gonna uplift people's life. So that's the whole line, I would say, if you are going to getting into entrepreneurship or any kind of thing. And I would just give this bone tip: if someone is watching, it's better to start right off the bat. It's better to start at a young age, rather, because there is a quote in investing. I will also invest in some trades, I would say. Yeah, so there is a quote in investing. It's right to start at a young age. So I think entrepreneurship also needs to be started at a young age. It can be somewhat small companies, a creative agency you can run with no money. I just started with around $50, I would say. So this is the whole money required for the whole process of creating. Okay, so this is the whole process. But yeah, so the first thing about the whole process is money is not required if you are building a service platform. It's only required when you are moving on to the product and many other. If your service is up to more people, so you can start it as a student. And if you are into a community and if you have kids, so I would just suggest them to just get them or make them desire about business. and and I would say business is not for everyone. If you want to have a proper life, and if you want to have a somewhat not challenging life, you can have a job and you can have a normal settled life. It no uplift or anything. But if you want to work hard for 5 years or 6 years, then if you want to retire at some age and have some money in the bank account, so because I'm planning to retire at 30, I just don't want to. I just want to travel something. Everything is there. So most of the process is going on. Okay, I got a message. Creating. Yeah, so that's great. Yeah, so the whole thing about the process is like moving on with the entrepreneurship. If you want to move on with the whole process of creating a company, when I was creating, so it started around as a I just used to work out on I just used to sleep around 2 hours per day. Like it continued on 30 days, a month, I would say. Networking and everything was going on. And the people have it, especially at the night, chat with other people or chat with business people. So it would be like night 1 o'clock or late night 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock for me. I used to have around the latest and around 306 alarms I would have in my mobile. So this is the same timings, like okay, 3 p.m. or 301. So this business meetings and this resolution you need to make. You need to sacrifice a lot of things when you are going with a business. It would be like, okay, I sacrificed my whole teenage years, I would say. I have some friends, but I've not made more friends in my universities, and I'm not more into the parties and everything. So you need to sacrifice something to get in order to get something. But if it's gonna make you richer, yet it's gonna make you rich, but it's not the end game for you. If you are creating a something and if you are moving on with, okay, I got so much things from it, okay, I need to sell the company or I need to multiply the profits, it's fine. But you want to build something out of it. So by through some revenue incursive, I built my initiatives from creating. So I'm planning to build on other stuffs from my initiatives. Like we are accumulating a student community, right? So I want to build another startup through my initiative. So this is what CA entrepreneurship is about, and it's about having a clear mindset. So you can be having a rag to riches story too, and you can even start with some. some, okay, not even money, but the only thing you have to have is like you have to build your mindset, because most people, even my classmates, even my colleagues said, like, okay, it's not going to work, because many people are into creative agency, and what you are going to do, uh, like your unique selling point or what you're going to do your best, okay, because many people were into creative agency and many professional people were there, but as a student entrepreneur, I started as a not a so professional, but I had experience of working as a freelancer. But this turned out to be successful, somewhat successful, not up to a big successful company. But if you are talking about the valuation, it's lost around the year. It comes around, I think, around 150,000 US dollars. So it's around 30 to 35 something in the Indian money. And yeah, so this was our evaluation. So I built nothing. I mean, from $50 to $150 evaluation is whatever the projects we have done. And it takes a clear mindset. So if you someone is coming, it's better to start off early, have a idea, implement it, and if you don't know how your idea works in the right market, you need to have a market survey or market research. Like minor chums. So first starting minor chums, I didn't know that okay it would work, because uh, major of I need to make sure the parents would pay with it, because even though the students we are marketing it students, our final target audience would be the parents who are paying the money. So I need to know for certain that the parents are willing to pay for our services, and also our students will be like, okay, so this is a whole startup thing, and they are providing a good service, so we need to have more people into it. So this was the whole thing, and yes, so this issues were there. So I did a market research with our beta website launch, because uh, I can invest more, but I want to invest the right amount of money into the right time of the startup. So I invested in the beta website, and it got to know about the whole process of getting into the website. And okay, people know this is a good idea. And also many of the parents, the survey or the feedback, which is the most important to me, was they are willing to pay around 99%, because this $10 or 10 USD dollars is somewhat less money compared to whatever the agencies are asking for. They start off with right around rupees 50,000 for getting the application or everything. But we as a platform where we are giving the information for just less money is where it attracts more people. And this was the entrepreneur journey. And it's all about mindset and all about experimenting yourself and the trial and error method you are going on. Yeah.
Well said. Thank you very much for taking us through all that. I think there are definitely in entrepreneurship, there is definitely that need for a willingness to try new things, to experiment, to, fail and do something that doesn't work, to learn how to do things that do work. I think that's very well said. You've gone from, you've done some YouTubing, you've done some 3D printing stuff, you're studying robotics, you've worked within social media, you've done all these different things in a very, very broad base. How do you approach learning a new area you aren't yet knowledgeable in? And how important do you think that aspect is to your success?
So learning new things is all about the just being crazy about the stuff. So I learned animation because I was so bored with the online classes, because I was a student of Corona. Corona, the whole process, like the lockdowns were there, right? The online classes were not so much interesting. Even the offline classes are not interesting, but still, the online class was too much boring. So as a student, I started out with okay, the major going on with some learning some skills. Then I started with animation. So I was so inspired with Ghibli Studios. It's like a animation company from Japan, and their movies are so much good. And you can just tell like their scenes would be like 10 to 15 minutes, or within a span of minute, they can tell a whole story within the scene. So I was very much interested in the conveying the message through animation stuffs. So I started learning animation, but I couldn't go further due to some lack of some computing, I would say. I didn't had a very great computer back then. I just had my own laptop and the whole thing. Having a new skill, I'm not so much into computers at very engaged, but I was very much used to into gaming. So gaming enabled me to understand every sort of whole process of learning much more fun, I would say. I learned animation within a month, and started as working as an intern to learn, gain some experiences. It's working. I want to sincerely thank my laptop. Then I started with the whole freelancing thing to earn some money, because okay, so I know about investing and everything, but I don't want to get it from my parents or something. to invest in the money because I had a fear. So, okay, if I lose the money, it's gonna be awkward with the parents and everything. So I just want to write off, start it from my own money. So I thought about freelancing stuff. Okay, I was skills. Let's go for the freelancing stuff. And yes, so the freelancing was good. Then the creative agency again for moving on to the money and everything, and also having a whole founder and CEO the title. Then the my Chums. So this is the whole thing. Now I can learn any software within 1 week, I would say.
So I was wondering if I could ask you one more question, though. It's one that we like to wrap up with. Do you have a couple more minutes?
Sure, I have it.
So, from your journey so far, I was wondering what words of wisdom you want to leave us with today. So, this could even be, advice someone gave you. It could be a quote that you really like, or just something really simple. Completely up to you.
I'm not up to the level of quoting some new words, I would say. I need some more much success to do the some the those things. And yeah, so but I heard one quote from a movie. It's called, I'm not remembering the name. The I'm just recollecting the quote because it's somewhat relating to the much me and my inner self. It's about the obsession beats the talent, I would say. Because yeah, I have a talent about learning softwares and having a good academic profile. But obsession beats over talent anytime, and the hard work beats over talent anytime. Because I've seen much more and major students having more talents over than me. But the whole issue out there is like they're not obsessed enough to start a thing, or they are not obsessed to enough to have it in their daily lives. So I think if you are starting out a company or if you are starting out with anything, you should be obsessed enough that you should take it as a part of your life. And sometimes success comes from whatever you are learning. Like I learned logo designing or something as a fun, like for just stuff I'm doing online. So whatever I did learned as a small stuff, or I thought of as like, okay, so I thought like, okay, it'd be like some waste of time, right? But still, it led me to create my own creative agency, and as a startup, it was so great. Like having the skill you never thought you're gonna use rest of in your life, but having it as a one of your income streams is where success lies, I think. And yeah, so I would like to end with that.
That was a great way to end. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for taking time to do this with us today. We really appreciate everything you've shared with us and taught us. And thank you for everyone who made time to join us live today. I know it's a busy weekend for many of us, but we really look forward to hearing about the development of your companies and of your journey. So thank you so much again, Parthiban. And we really hope that everyone has a wonderful weekend, what's left of it ahead. So thank you again, and we will see you next
Yeah,
week.
thank you. Goodbye, and happy Christmas and happy New Year.
All right, have a great day and evening ahead, everyone. Bye.
You've just finished another episode of Founders Voyage, the podcast for entrepreneurs by entrepreneurs. The team at Founders Voyage wants to thank you from the bottom of our hearts. We hope you enjoyed your time with us, and if so, please share this with someone else who might enjoy this podcast. You can also support us by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and by donating to our Patreon. Outro music today is Something for Nothing by Reverend Peyton's Big Damn Band.